And look at Jochen Hahn and Antonio Albacete. The two of them go flying through the right-hand side, then the left-hand side. Jochen Hahn around the outside, and Lucas Hahn, no father and son, come together on the exit of turn one.
And the best thing about this is the fact that it's still a 15-minute sprint race. It's not extended the time of the race. It's still just like, it's going to be, what, 7 laps of Spa Francorchamps?
Yeah. We get to the real nitty-gritty of motorsport.
Cranston and Smith are side by side for the title in the very final race of the season. As they go back up the hill towards the Schumacher. Nils Kor clips the back at 10. Simon Povey clips the side of Nils Kor. They go over the hill and Povey's around.
Oh my God, that's going to definitely be the thumbnail when it hit me in the right direction. Thank you so much.
23 cars.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to Chaz Draycott Media. Welcome to the penultimate round of the Sim Racing Magazine GT3 Winter Tour by Derbyshire Holiday Homes. We're here at Donington Park for the Grand Prix circuit at this wonderful, wonderful venue for rounds 13 and 14 of this GT3 Championship. We have two races coming up for you, half an hour each with a slight break in between, and some interesting conditions for the drivers to deal with. My name is Chaz Draycott, and I'm delighted to have alongside me in the commentary box once again the wonderful Ed May. Ed, we've already been here this season, but I'll tell you what, the championship is very different now to how it was even back then, isn't it?
Yeah, but it is still as close as ever. It's just obviously the order's been shifted around. It's great to be here though for the second time this season, isn't it, at Donington Park. We were here earlier on. It was actually the race meeting where Adam Watson made his debut. We're going to have to look, see if he can repeat that fine form. He got 2 wins, didn't he, on the night. We'll have to see if this is the Grand Prix layout is just as successful as for him as was the national layout.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll keep our eye on it and see what we can get out of the evening points-wise, and whether there is anything that we can keep up with, to be honest with you, because look how close it is in the standings. Arthur Thurtle has the championship lead after drop scores on 111 points, with Ben Idris Abdullahi just 1 point behind him. Dan McCauley is then only 7 points back, 1 point ahead of Nils Kaur. The whole top 4 separated by 9 points. It's absolutely remarkable how close it is at the moment. There were some penalties given out at Alton Park. Adam Watson was given a penalty for his move on Simon Povey. That dropped him out of the points and he scored none there. And then in race 2 as well, Adam actually was given another penalty for his jump start. Same with Lee Berridge. The two of them basically made start infringements based on the procedure that had been outlined in the driver's briefing, and both of them jumped out of their necessary queues and gained time all positions before the start-finish line. So unfortunately for them, they lost out and it did not go their way. Looking at things at the moment though, Ed, well, we currently have, if it would actually fade, we have Arthur Thurtle fastest in qualifying, which is now underway with 10 minutes left to go. This Corvette is looking mighty, mighty good, isn't it?
He's looking very quick around here. It's like a very nice, comfortable ride for him at this moment in time. Just having a look at the conditions out on the circuit, Chaz, it does look a little bit gloomy. We aren't having any rain on the forecast whatsoever. It's just more of a standard British overcast day, it seems, at Alton Park. Not also at Donington Park, rather. We were just at Donington, Alton, sorry. Get my wires crossed here. But no, it's been great to see these Corvettes. They've been really underutilised, but both Adam Watson and Simon Povey, who unfortunately is not here tonight, have been able to make this car really work out for them.
Yeah, indeed. It's certainly been interesting to see it. Simon will not be here this evening, and we're unsure whether he'll be making the finale, but we send Simon and family all the best. But it is currently Arthur Thurtle fastest, championship leader by just 1 point over this man, Ben Idris Abdullahi in the Mercedes. It's been great to see the Mercedes in such competitive form, but then again, you've got Ben Idris Abdullahi and Jake Cranstone driving the thing. Now look how much better iRacing's headlights look now. Now they've not got that horrific bloom thing over them that they used to have. It looks so much better and so much more refined now in these sorts of conditions. I absolutely love it. Now we get Stephen Kershaw on our screens for one of the first times. Stephen joined us a few rounds ago in the championship in the Porsche. Porsche actually carrying 20 kilos of popularity ballast, but not that that has slowed down this man, Lewis Ward, car 97, currently second quickest and only 35 thousandths of a second off pole position. Just shows you how quick Lewis really is, doesn't it, Ed?
He's rapid. He's got so much pace around here. He actually looked very quick at Donington Park earlier on in the season. Sure, he was in the Porsche then as well. That was actually the first race he switched over to the Porsche, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Memory serves right. So he's been able to really make some great headway with it. Obviously drove the Ford for the start of the season alongside his stablemate, his sort of his sort of frequent sparring partner and teammate, who's not actually, I can't see him here tonight actually, Dan McCauley. Where is Dan?
He's there.
Made his way into the session now. Here we go. I was just looking to see where he is on the timing screens, but it looks like he hasn't been able to set a time. He's joined the session a little bit later on.
He absolutely has. He actually inherited the race victory at Alton Park in race 2, did Dan McCauley, so not only has he taken his first ever SRM League race win this season, he's taken his second as well. Maybe not on the road, so not as flamboyant a spectacle for him, but both times he was in a fight with Adam Watson, and with Adam Watson eventually finishing in second. So Dan will be hoping to continue this championship charge. Currently sits in third place, like I say, only 8 points off that top spot from Arthur Thurtle. He's only 7 behind Ben Idris Abdullahi. But he will obviously have his eyes on fellow Mustang driver Nils Kaur, won't he, Ed? Because he is 1 point behind him in the standings, and the previous SRM GT4 Challenge champion still has a shout at winning this series.
So many drivers have a shout, don't they?
Yeah,
really?
they do, yeah.
You're right there. It's so difficult and tight to call. Looking for the top 7 separate by 15 points. And with, 4 opportunities to score points still remaining in the season, it's anyone's guess. All it takes is for you to have one bad race meeting for any driver in that sort of top 7.
Yeah.
And they're probably out of contention. It's just that close.
Yeah, it really is. It's just... And the thing is as well, on top of that though, you've got drop scores, so if you have a bad enough result, you may actually end up gaining points out of it because of a score that you would have previously dropped. So it's really, really interesting. They are not allowed to drop the final round of the season though, so the points going into the final round will not be adjusted in such a way. We will basically just add on whatever they score at that final round, so we don't have to do any sort of reverse engineering with the maths. Here's Dennis Van Beelen in his Audi. It's just ahead of this man, Drew Fletcher, in the session at the moment. Drew, at the present moment, is down in 19th place. I spent a lot of today with Drew, actually. We were doing a flight together on Flight Sim, and he was doing a lot of training for me in the Airbus A320, and we had an absolute riot, and definitely did not take the mick out of Dan or Scotland at all. But at the present moment, though, as well as Drew being on track, he's on screen. Derbyshire Holiday Homes is the primary sponsor of the SRM GT3 Windsor by Derbyshire Holiday Homes. We also say a big thanks to Oris Analytics and Bespoke Shelters as well. Heinz Mayer, who is also out there on circuit. Oh, it's a lie, he's in the pit lane in the Lamborghini, the Batmobile Lamborghini. And of course, Alex Johns as well at Bespoke Shelters, a good friend and supporter of the series. Looks like Simon Price, he's got rid of the Kinder Bueno livery, but he still has the gingerbread livery on his sole BMW in the field. Dan McCauley's just gone 4th fastest in quali. He'll feel a lot better about that one. It's good to have this man back as well, isn't it though, Ed? Matt Hoyland has been really entertaining this season in that lovely looking Mercedes, and he brings it to another round of the series to show us what it's got.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see, obviously, the difference in car performance all up and down the field. There's a great spread, isn't there? Got, 5 different manufacturers in the top 5, and the Mercedes, 3 of them in the top 10. got Ben Idris Abdullahi quickest of the bunch with Jake Cranstone and Matt Hoyland in the mix as well. It does look, though, like the Porsche is going to go very well behind Lewis Ward. I just think that he might have the edge in qualifying just over a single lap.
Yeah, we'll have to see. He's just coming around the final corner now. Actually, Adam Watson's done a purple sector on that lap as well. He's bound to improve there, surely. Actually does. Goes fastest by a tenth and a half. No improvement by Lewis Ward, but the yardstick has once again been moved there by Adam Watson. Great pace. He's had it all season long. He's been terrifyingly fast in that Lamborghini. And I mean, it goes to show, doesn't it, with the fact that he joined the season after 2 race meetings already done. He's only been off the podium once, and that even includes results where there's been penalties applied. And he is, what, 17 points off the championship lead?
Yeah.
Incredible.
And he's actually the driver with the most points scored this season, not counting drop rounds. I think it's Lewis Ward tying for him for total points scored.
Yeah, 158.
Yeah, because of the drop rounds is why we see Adam Watson just a little bit further down than what his total points tally will likely show come the end of the season. So he's got a bit of a buffer, really, hasn't he? He's got a lot more that he can sort of sacrifice before the end of the season because of his consistent high scoring points throughout the whole of the season, really.
Yeah, it's been brilliant to see it, though. His consistency and his pace has been absolutely amazing. We look here at Heinz Mayer, another driver in the Lamborghini. Lamborghini's actually going quite well around here at the moment. Heinz is just outside of the top 10. Chris Jennings is in 9th place as well. He's had a real find of pace this season. I think he's had a bit of coaching as the season's gone on, and it's been great to see this improvement. It's one of the best things about being in a community as friendly as this as well at SRM, is that we see the development of drivers. We remember Kim Such's first race with us, well long ago now, and he's continually getting quicker and quicker. It's just great to see it. Martin Kenyon as well, another driver that has improved and improved. He's in the Porsche once more. Lovely looking DXT machine. He's also got the lovely looking McLaren 720S in front of him, 4 in the field. Talk about miscounting. We've got Ryan Penny in the number 99 machine. That's not a McLaren. There is Ben Chalcraft in the Spontex CDM Esports machine. We also have John Roberts out there and Mark Johnson in this gorgeous Legends Racing Castrol livery. I think you do a sort of livery of the season prize or anything, but I mean, I don't think Mark made this livery, and if he did, then I apologise, Mark, but still, I think that is the prettiest car this season, regardless of who made it.
Yeah, and I think, to be fair, it does look very nice. Simon Price has had some corkers over the course of the season, but he changes it too often for us to give him any sort of award of best livery of the season. But it's why we love Simon, isn't it? It gives us something special each and every race meeting, and we love that. It's like a nice little quirk of him, which is always great to have.
Ben Chalcraft off the road, trying to, going into a natural habitat for the hedgehogs. He's trying to find the hedges, but doesn't get very far with it. Stephen Kershaw about to round the final corner in the Porsche. Lewis Ward's done a purple final sector. Is that going to count to anything? No, not a valid lap time for him. Only 43 seconds left as well, so he's not going to get another lap in. So at best it's going to be third, because as soon as that clock hits 0, everybody gets teleported out the session.
Yep, absolutely. So that seems to be it for Lewis Ward in qualifying. Dan McCauley jumps up into second place on the front row of the grid.
You'll be delighted.
Really strong drive. That's a really, really good position to find yourself in around Donington, especially behind the Mustang, which is the hardest thing to pass at the best of times.
Definitely. Well, let's not forget now, we need to start looking at championship protagonists, and 4 of them are Dan McCauley, Arthur Thurtle, Ben Idris Abdullahi and Nils Kaur. They are the top 4 at this present moment, and Dan is the fastest of them in that qualifying session, so that is going to give him all sorts of confidence. Just to put that into perspective as well, Arthur Thurtle did 8 laps in that session, Dan did 4, and he went quicker. So a really, really solid performance there by Dan McCauley. But it's Adam Watson taking another pole position. Incredible pace from Adam this season. He took it by pretty much bang on 0.2 of a second from Dan in the Mustang. We then have Arthur Thurtle and Lewis Ward making up the second row of the grid. Ben Idris Abdullahi's Mercedes makes it 5 different manufacturers
in the top 5. Awesome to see it. We then have Nils Core alongside him on row 3. Then it's an all Mercedes row 4. Jake Cranstone and Matt Hoyland. Chris Jennings and Martin Kenyon. I was going to say make it an all Lamborghini 5th row, but you never know with Martin. It's Chris Jennings alongside Martin Kenyon. And then row 6 of the grid is Lee Berridge in the sole Ferrari alongside Heinz Mayer's Lamborghini. Ben Chalcraft is in 13th position, and alongside him we find Stephen Kershaw. Dennis Van Beelen and Drew Fletcher make up the 8th row of the grid, with Mark Johnson and Kim Such 17th and 18th. Christopher Rowe is 19th, with John Roberts completing the top 20. Ryan Penny is 21st, and Simon Price is 22nd. So a tightly packed grid, Ed. Loads of lovely GT3 cars. Not the biggest grid we've had, 22 entries for tonight, but it's still around that time of year where we don't get full grids, but even still, we've got 32 as the maximum entries. We've had a lot of people say why they're not here tonight and so on, but we still have a great mix of manufacturers on the grid, don't we? With, I think, all 9 that we have represented, if I'm correct. Is there any that aren't here?
Oh no, we have Lee Berridge in the Ferrari.
We've got the Ferrari, BM, McLaren, Audi, Porsche, Ford, Mercedes, Corvette.
Yeah, I think that's all of them.
Because the 10th one is the NSX.
Well, the Acura, but we don't have that for this season.
There's the Audi, yes. BMW, yes. Chevrolet, Ferrari, Mustang, Huracan, McLaren, Mercedes and Porsche. Yeah, so all 9 manufacturers. Sorry, I forgot the Lamborghini. I went through the rule book then just to make sure. But yeah, we have all 9 manufacturers represented on the grid. That is absolutely awesome to see. You love it.
You could tell that maths was never our strongest subject in school.
No.
But we got there in the end. Adam Watson, don't need to count too far to see where he is. Pole position for him.
The size of the Mustang.
Yeah, that big Mustang, the tower block compared to, isn't it? A little bungalow next to a skyscraper. But now, this is the time where we really have to start thinking about the championship. And I know that Dan will do as well. He's going to be very careful on these opening few laps because he knows that Adam Watson is going to be quick, but he doesn't want to let him get too far ahead.
Absolutely, and as they round the hairpin for the first time in 2025, the Sim Racing Magazine GT3 Winter Tour by Derbyshire Holiday Homes gets underway, and it's a great start by Adam Watson, streaks away. Dan McCauley looks to the inside to hold his position ahead of Lewis Ward, and then in the middle of the pack we've got Ben Idris Abdullahi and Nils Core, the 2 teammates side by side. Jake Cranstone in there as well. Looks like Lee Berridge was side by side with the Porsche of Martin Kenyon as they head down the Craner curves for the first time, trying to keep it nice and clean in the very gloomy conditions. It was very close there between Lee and Martin as they went around the left-hander. As Lee's around in the Ferrari, gets away from him. Just happens to be the car we look at. Ryan Penny is coming out of the pit lane after starting from there. He's having blinking problems though. But Adam Watson, what a great start that was, Ed. Really tidy, really clean, and he's left Dan McCauley to fend for himself.
Yeah, Dan McCauley just really got caught out coming out of that final hairpin. As Ben Idris Abdullahi, he nearly gets caught out by the slide coming over the crest at McLean's, but I think he's been able to get away with that one. Not lose any positions. He's got Nils Core, his teammate, right there behind him. Arthur Thurtle, Lewis Ward, they're the only 2 drivers in the top 10 that have changed positions from where they started. Lewis actually with the better start ahead of the Corvette of Arthur Thurtle. That's important for the championship as well though, isn't it? That battle between Dan McCauley, Lewis Ward and Arthur Thurtle.
Yeah, definitely. There's a big old battle going on, and to be honest, I think Dan will be very happy if Ben Idris Abdullahi starts to take points away from Arthur. I think Ben will be happy if Ben starts to take points away from Arthur as well. As Martin Kenyon's around in the Porsche. The number 3 machine facing the wrong way, and he waits and waits and waits for the field to go by, and that is going to be it. He's trying to rev it up and get it going, spins it around. Good stuff that by Martin to wait for the whole field to go by. But look at Adam Watson go, absolutely gone, and well, we expected this from Adam. What a brilliant start to the race he's having.
Yeah, he's going to be trying to check out, and looks to be getting a very good start on that right at this moment. Just see though. Look at how confident he is through every single apex. A little bit of a squirm here or there, but he's just, again, doing quali laps basically. Yeah. Not showing any signs of race management, I guess, in these 30-minute races. You don't need to manage too much. But just see everywhere he's placing the car, it just seems to be able to comply and do exactly what he needs it to do. Again, through the chicane as we go to Finishes up Abdullahi.
He just tried to keep it to the inside, and just as he got on the power, the back end stepped away. But it's a really, really good save by Ben Idris Abdullahi. That I think if we go on board with his teammate behind, you'll see. Goes to the inside. Nice room left by Arthur, but it's just that little wobble as he gets over the curb, and as he gets on the power, just upsets the car that little bit too much, and he loses out as a result. Dan McCauley is now having to defend from his stablemate Lewis Ward in the Porsche. The Mustang probably not got the legs over the Porsche, but even with 20 kilos, it seems like that car is completely unaffected. It's still rapid. It's a very stable platform as the Porsche. It seems like it carries the weight well as well.
It really seems to just be nicely balanced around here. Not necessarily the case at every circuit, but here it's really just coming into its own. And McCauley, you can see the yeehaw on his rear wing. Again with the brazenly American machine with a, well, brazenly American design as well. As this is Heinz Meyer. Just didn't seem to get up and go at all. Did he have a slowdown that he was maybe trying to serve?
Yeah, I think so. He's not at full chat there down the straight, so I'm not quite sure what's gone on. I saw that he'd lost a few positions. And then, ooh, there's a kiss there with Drew Fletcher. Luckily, points him in the right direction. I did wonder why he dropped extra ones from that point. So, that'll be why. But, oh, there's some gravel and stuff being kicked up there on the exit of the chicane. We have turned that down for this because Ed and I broadcasted another GT3 championship at Zolder last week, and it was like there was a hailstorm going on made up of gravel and grass and stupid debris everywhere.
Although, to be fair, there was also a hailstorm, what felt like a hailstorm later on in the race as well.
Yes, true.
So that didn't help matters either.
No.
But no, it's definitely Harrison have gone a little bit OTT with some of their effects, but we know them, they'll be able to tweak it until it's perfect, and then it won't be something we'll notice or complain about in the future. Fingers crossed.
Look at the pace of these things, though. I love riding on board with these GT3 cars after broadcasting some production cars the other day, which are a little bit more sedate but still provide great racing. GT3 is just epic. Dan McCauley's just had a big moment at the old hairpin there, and Lewis Ward is going to get on by. Lewis had to get on the brakes to not hit the back of Dan, and you know what? He's played the sensible card there as Dan. He's just let Lewis go, and he's probably just going to check out now as Lewis. And he's got the pace, and he's got the consistency. But Dan just had a big old moment at the bottom of the hill. Let's have a look at this. Well, that was it.
That was it.
That was it, yeah.
And then you can see he's stuck around on the outside line.
Oh, this replay is going a long way back, but you can see even there, look.
It's just not playing ball, is it?
No.
It's not. We were talking about how certain cars can carry the weight well. It seems like the Ford just struggling at the moment in the race trim. It's not got the consistency. While you can maybe get it hooked up over a single lap, to do it consistently, the way the weight is just lumbering around. What was going on there?
What was that for Kim Such? He was inside Chris Rowe's Porsche for a minute there. I noticed
I'm glad it wasn't just my end. That was weird.
He lost a few places. Drew Fletcher got past him. And then he suddenly reappears a long time after that. That's really weird. Even now, he's actually side by side with Lee Berridge. Oh, he's losing ground. He is losing ground. I think John Roberts has had a drama. I wonder if this involved Kim. No, it did not. John just completely went around on his own. But I think Kim is having some sort of technical issues there, and he's not the only one either in that team. Ryan Penny has had some technical dramas of his own and is no longer in the race. But Simon Price is in the mix here in 18th position, just behind Lee Berridge, who's recovering from his earlier spin. We've also got Kim Such now chasing down Simon Price in the gingerbread house that is the BMW. Kim gets a lovely run, actually, as they head up towards McLean's, but Simon has the inside line and guides the ugly mobile through the right-hander, and now Kim gets the run to look down the inside again at Coppice. No, doesn't go for it through there this time. Let's not forget, the top 15 score points in the race, and the top 15 get reversed on the grid. So it's currently Heinz Meyer that is on to get that reverse grid pole position. He's ahead of Christopher Rowe on the circuit. Chris not too far behind and has already gained a few places so far in this race. He's going to hope to gain a few more and get that reverse grid pole position. But at the front, well, the organic pole position from this first race went to Adam Watson, and he is held onto that nearly a third of the way through the race now, and he is absolutely storming off into the distance. Dan McCauley and Arthur Thurtle still doing personal bests in third and fourth. It seems like the sun is coming out now. It's getting warmer, but wow, Adam's pace has just been electric at the minute.
Really, there's just no one that's been able to match him, and it was the same story, wasn't it, when we were here earlier on in the season? Adam Watson just in a class of his own made his debut, and I think that really started to sort of make everyone stand up, take notice, and think, hang about, who's this that's just been let into the season to take this championship away from me? So I'll have to see, of course, if Adam Watson can carry on that same run of form that he had earlier on, but it definitely looks, for all intents and purposes, that he could be on for yet another, basically, Grand Slam, isn't it? Pole position and both race victories.
Yeah, potentially. So we ride on board here with Mark Johnson chasing down Stephen Kershaw's Matt Green Porsche. Lovely looking car, the 992, especially from down here on the ground. When you look up at it like that, it really exaggerates the hips of that thing and the massive rear wing on it as well. It's actually scooted away a little bit there through the chicane. I'm sorry to say that Simon Price has had an issue and fallen by the wayside somewhere. Look how close Mark gets to the back of the Porsche. 2 stabs at the throttle though to get that thing to play ball. This is what happened to Simon Price, Ed.
Let's have a look. Is he just going to over-rotate? Yeah, it just over-rotates, which is an uncommon thing really with the BMW, but because of basically the amount of weight it carries, as soon as it goes, the momentum is just going to carry around. There's not a whole lot you can do to save it once it does go.
Oh, it's that
Is
tiny.
he just a little bit unsettled by the curb on the inside? It seems like the inside right just sort of just loses all grip.
Yeah, there's that horrifically small little crest over the middle that really upset it. Drew Fletcher has had a drama as well, unfortunately. He's dropped out of the top 15 positions here. Just like we saw John Roberts do a moment ago. Oh, and he just gets clipped by Hines and just gets clipped by Lee Berridge. Now he moves out of the way quickly once those cars are through, but then he has to sit there and wait, unfortunately. He's not going to enjoy that, is Drew. He's now down in 20th place, and that's promoted Christopher Rowe, who has waited patiently, up into 15th for that reverse grid pole. But still, only a third of the way through round 13 of the SRM GT3 Winter Tour by Derbyshire Holiday Homes. Hope you're enjoying the show so far, everybody. There's still plenty of time to go in this race, Ed. Plenty of time for things to change.
Yeah, and speaking of change, Lewis Ward has been able to increase that gap to Dan McCauley, been able to now get some daylight between himself and the big Mustang in third place. Lewis Ward having a great race so far, isn't he? Up 2 positions from where he started. I thought that his qualifying pace would be a little bit better than what it was shown to be, but in the race, that's where you score the points, and what Lewis is doing is exactly what he needs to do for this championship, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely, and you could see the amount of lock he was putting on there, actually. 90 degrees of lock and more through turn 1, which is quite interesting to see. So
look at how far ahead Adam is, though, just on board.
Yeah, it's just mad, and he's a blip in the distance. Absolute
Only
blip.
10 minutes as well. Only 10 minutes we've got in this race, and he's already that far ahead.
Yeah, 7 laps. We're on the 8th lap of the race, and he's just gone. It's just nuts. Absolutely nuts. But Lewis seems to be pushing the tyres quite a bit in this early stage, and I wonder whether he's doing that strategically, knowing that it is a bit cooler than usual in these conditions at the moment, so you can push the tyres some more. But then, if you've already built up the gap, everybody else's tyres will already be a little bit destroyed towards the end of the race anyway, so they won't be able to push as hard to then catch up. So he's seen this as an opportunity to build the gap early. We've seen a few drivers do it over the course of the season, where they strategically push harder than you normally would in the opening stages to build that gap, and then try not to sort of be on the back foot later. He's lost a bit of time on this lap, it seems, though, because Dan McCauley is back within a second now. Did wonder if he ran wide a little bit in some of the corners and had to give up some time. We'll see what the lap times are as they cross the line now. Adam Watson's just on a 1:26.9. Lewis Ward puts in a 1:27.42. And it's a 1:27.27 for Dan McCauley. So Dan going a bit quicker than him this time round.
Yeah, the pendulum swings this time in the favour of the Mustang. And actually, Dan McCauley did get a little bit of breathing space away from Arthur Thurtle as well. That Corvette no longer the pressing threat that it was just a lap ago. Still, it's the point where the drivers, especially these 3 that we can see in the shot now, Arthur Thurtle we're on board with, they just can't afford any mistakes because of how finely poised this championship is. I think all of them would be sort of relatively happy with the race finishing as it is, because they're not either going to be losing too much ground, or if they are gaining ground, they're still, while it's marginal, it's still something good for them.
Yeah, definitely. They don't lose a huge amount really, so you know they still score good points on the night and they do the job. It's consistency, isn't it? These drivers are in consistent form as well. Jake Cranstone, Matt Hoyland, Chris Jennings and Ben Chalcraft resuming the positions at the sort of latter end of the top 10. They're not really, well, even with Dennis Van Beelen, no news is good news at the minute. We've barely looked at any of them, but they've not got anything going on. It's strange to not have Jake Cranstone be the centre of attention, actually, because he's normally such an exciting driver to watch. Just doesn't seem to quite have it round here tonight to be with the guys ahead. Matt Hoyland will be happy to be back inside the top 10, though. He'll be loving this with a great opportunity at some point. Same with Chris Jennings and Ben Chalcraft. Ben said after his very solid performance in the FTR Production Car Cup Plus on Sunday night that he was going to be abysmal this evening in the McLaren, and he's doing very well at the moment. Started 13th on the grid and has now made his way up into 10th place. We need to look just a couple of positions back though, because Stephen Kershaw is still under attack from Mark Johnson in that beautiful Castrol McLaren as we near the halfway point of this race.
Yeah, you can just see the attitude of that. Ooh, McLaren is very twitchy, and he's going to be trying everything he can do to get ahead. He's made some great progress as Mark so far in this race, up 4 places, and he's going to be hungry for more. He actually lost a bit of time, but gained it all back, as you can see, just through Coppice and McLean's. And now I think you can, if you're in Stephen Kershaw's shoes, you're going to really start to feel the pressure now, aren't you? Just because as Mark Johnson gets closer and closer, we'll see through the chicane now how aggressive he's choosing to be, carrying a lot of speed through and making sure that he doesn't attack the curbs too hard. You don't want to get yourself any off tracks, any any time penalties. Slowdowns aren't really what you want to get, especially when trying to chase them down. But again, just so squirmy. While they do have the traction control and ABS to make themselves relatively stable platforms, you know, if you still want to kick its head in, it will, you know, lash out at you.
Yeah, definitely will. You can see that the car is definitely a bit more alive.
He's dropping down, is he?
Yeah, he's just dropped a few places actually now behind Jake Cranstone and behind Niels Kaur.
Oh, it is, Chaz. It's the V8 convention. It's reformed again.
The V8 convention, yeah. There was a bunch of Mustangs and Mercedes together last Thursday night when Ed and I were commentating on GT3s, and we called it the V8 convention because they all seem to just conglomerate together everywhere and follow one another. And every time they came across something like a Lamborghini or a Ferrari, it would just get absolutely swamped and eventually end up facing the wrong way. So, yeah, the V8 convention is reforming, it seems, but... yeah, not quite sure what happened here to Ben Idris Abdullahi. Let's have a ganders. Oh, wow. He's had a full-blown... Where's Nils? Great avoidance by Nils. Great awareness. That's exactly what you want to see, that is. Let's go on board with Nils. He might have had a long time to look at it, but still, look at this. Selfless brakes, make sure he's way out of the way, and off it goes. That is just perfect avoidance by Nils Kaur. And that sums up Nils, doesn't it, to an absolute millimetre. He is such a wise driver, is Nils, and a lovely guy as well behind the scenes. He's helped out a lot this season and given his input on a lot of decisions and a lot of running of the championship too. He's been brought in on the sort of board as one of the representative drivers, and yeah, his insights into the data and everything else that he does is just awesome. It's no wonder he was a champion of the SRM GT4 Challenge. He's just so intelligent, not just off the circuit, but with his racing. He's intelligent on the track as well.
Yeah, it's just so smart to sacrifice that maybe half a second to a second to make sure you see where the car ahead is going to be going after its mistake and picking the sort of gap to drive into. It's better to do that, sacrifice a little bit of time, than guess wrong and lose your entire race out the window. So that's really wonderful stuff. As Mark Johnson now, look at the run he's getting out of the old hairpin. Around the outside, trying to find some space through instead, looking for the exit, but it's just not going to come through. That speed taken in by Stephen Kershaw, I thought he was going to massively overshoot it.
Me too.
Credit to him, he hang it in there, and he's really able to keep this defence going strong. Brilliant stuff by Kershaw there.
Seems like Mark Johnson is short shifting quite a bit here, but maybe the McLaren just doesn't rev that high. But out of the corners, he doesn't seem confident to absolutely lob it up through the revs. Look, he's taking third gear through there instead of second. And it does definitely rev higher. You can hear it going to the revs that time, but yeah, seems like he's doing a bit of short shifting here and there. There's been a car moving around the order a bit. Chris Jennings has just had a bit of a blink in and out for a second, but he's come back. But yeah, definitely on the throttle, Mark doesn't seem as confident as Stephen is in that Porsche. It's a great matchup though. They're very similar on pace actually. They were less than a tenth of a second apart on the previous lap. They've got Heinz Mayer not too far behind, and then currently the man going on to pole position for race 2, Christopher Rowe. 12 minutes left on the clock. Adam Watson now leads by 6 seconds.
Yeah, not seen too much of Adam, have we, since the beginning of the race? His gap now 6 seconds. You can just see Lewis Ward for a brief moment in the background of your shot there. Might be able to see him now. Eventually, there we go. Basically, as Adam Watson's getting ready to make his way through the chicane, Lewis Ward is on his way out of that corner in behind. But once more, Adam showing why he is the driver to beat, especially here at Donington Park. Dan McCauley has lost a little bit of ground to Arthur Thurtzlow, putting his personal best of the race so far. That Corvette really starting to pick up the pace now.
Yeah, and to be fair, I mean, Dan is now just under a second behind Lewis Ward as well, so Lewis hasn't completely disappeared from this pairing. The pace has been brilliant between all of them as Dan just tries to get what he can out of that Mustang. You can see the back end moving around. It's really wiggling its way out of every corner. It's got a lot of power, but it's just not got the traction to match the long wheelbase and that sort of front to rear configuration. You can see the back end wants to rotate. You've got to have a lot of great throttle control, haven't you, to drive that thing to its maximum velocity.
Speaking of velocity, Arthur Thurtle in the slipstream, taking maximum speed into the old hairpin, closing down through all of the corners. And, well, Dan McCauley once more losing ground. It was another personal best for Arthur Thurtle. Is this going to be a move around the outside to get up into the podium places? No, but Arthur is going to keep piling that pressure on. Forces a defensive manoeuvre from McCauley, and then looking for any sort of space to try to find the overlap on the inside. Didn't need to try and maybe go for a switch, but it was great positioning from Dan McCauley just to keep his car at the perfect position to frustrate Arthur Thurtle. But again, it's all of that battling work, defending has given Lewis Ward all the breathing space, all the time in the world he needs to break away. That gap is now 1.8 seconds.
Yeah, he's gained a second alone just in that sort of second half of the lap. Bit of a wobble there by Arthur Thurtle. That gives Dan a bit of breathing room. He'll be appreciative of that one. I'm sure his pants were clenching a bit with that, because Arthur, just out of nowhere, gained an incredible amount of pace, got one hell of a run on him, and it was just awesome to see. We come back to the V8 convention, the Mercedes trio making its way around the final corner. Idris Abdullahi now on the back of Jake Cranstone once more, but not making a move at this point yet. Matt Hoyland, like I said before, he may not be having the most buzzing race in the world, but he'll be happy to just sit here in 8th position and take home some good points. Don't think we've had Matt at every round so far this season. I'm just having a quick look. Yeah, he missed 2 races, Silverstone and Snetterton, in the middle of the season. He's had an 11th, a 21st, a 19th, a 6th, a 21st and an 11th. So he's only had 1 top 10 finish so far this season. And now he's on for his 2nd, so I'm sure he will be, well, the word I used is buzzing, and he will be if that is how this ends. 8 3/4 minutes left to go.
Yeah, looks good for Matt Hoyland at this moment in time. Stephen Kershaw continuing to try and keep Mark Johnson at bay, but now they've got company, don't they? The Lamborghini Huracan of Heinz Mayer up with them as well. Making a 3-way tussle, potentially even 4 ways, because Christopher Rowe is not that far behind either. For 12th place, currently held by the number 247 of Stephen Kershaw. Looking all through the field for all of that. So obviously we've got that V8 convention. We've got that battle for the final podium spot as well. Dan McCauley and Arthur Thurtle once again nose to tail. You can see a little look up the inside, but more just to let Dan know that he's there. Full mirrors, but not an actual overtaking move. It's all about the mind games.
really is.
to try and get these positions, because you know you're not really going to be able to find a way past unless the driver ahead of you makes a mistake in these cars, especially at this circuit where you don't have those big heavy braking zones at the end of a long straight, where oftentimes you see moves being made at other tracks. Because here we go, a move is being made further back, and it is once more Mark Johnson trying to go around the outside of Stephen Kershaw, but Kershaw defending resolutely.
Nice.
Muscling out the McLaren.
Oh, Mark's off.
So he goes too deep, and now that's going to get swallowed up by the Huracan. And all of that hard work is undone. He loses not one position, but two, as Christopher Rowe says, thank you very much, I'll have that one, sunshine.
And Mark Johnson actually has found himself in reverse grid pole position if he stays there, but yeah, he just went a little bit too hot there, did Mark. He got a great run out of the final corner. Let's have a look round the outside of Stephen Kershaw into turn one. You'll see the nose of the Porsche just on your right hand side, a shot in a second. Gets a great run out of the Craner curve, so watch how close they get to each other here now. So they head down the left, he brakes and gets out of it. Yeah, he's already downshifted, and then Hines is there, and he has to sort of, I think he was just focused on Hines, to be honest. Doesn't go down the gears quickly enough. The car doesn't have any sort of engine braking going on. Then he cuts the corner again to sort of stay out of the way of Christopher Rowe. I'm surprised he didn't get a slowdown or anything from that, but yeah, unfortunately Mark Johnson losing positions. He's got Lee Berridge now actually putting him under pressure in the Ferrari too, so he could lose that reverse grid pole and the final championship point in this race. But Jake Cranstone and Ben Idris Abdullahi close together, 0.3 of a second there. But actually, Stephen Kershaw still has a good old gaggle behind him as well. Actually, if we go on board with him, look, there is Heinz Mayer, then Christopher Rowe, then Mark Johnson, then Lee Berridge.
So many cars now, right up together, battling for position. I was saying earlier that there aren't really too many battles here or there, but it's always towards the end of these races, isn't it, Chaz, where the action starts to spring into life. And Cranstone as well with Ben Abdullahi. That battle is continuing on, as is the Dan McCauley Alpha Thurtle tussle. But I think this is the closest one on track, isn't it, Chaz? Stephen Kershaw once more having to defend, this time from the Lamborghini of Heinz Murray. He's used to seeing that McLaren in behind of Mark Johnson, but now he's got a different beast to try and contend with. But with only 5 minutes to go, time is on his side.
It really is. As long as he can just hold them up for a few laps more, he'll be alright. But what a gaggle to have chasing him down as well. We have 4 different manufacturers in this fight. 2 Porsches, a Lamborghini, the McLaren and the Ferrari of Lee Berridge at the back. And Lee, to be fair, he's gone wide there to avoid any sort of incident. He's actually found himself making an overtaking manoeuvre on Mark Johnson. You can hear the McLaren is now behind him. And he's actually made a move out of that. Goes up into 15th position, or does he? Mark tries to go late on the brakes around the outside into the hairpin. It's not going to work that time round. And Lee Berridge finds himself with a championship point on his hands and potential reverse grid pole position. Martin Kenyon's not too far behind either, 1.3 seconds there. But no news is good news at present for Adam Watson. Look at the lead here. This is the best camera angle for this. He's into the chicane and Lewis Ward is only just out of coppice. It is remarkable pace by Adam. But not only is it just the pace, because let's not forget he did this at Alton Park, but it's the consistency as well. He got caught out by the dust and the debris on the outside of Cascades and had his own mistake before he went on to then have the incident later on in race 1. This time he's just been supreme.
Yeah, I think the only thing that can really stop Adam Watson is Adam Watson himself.
Yeah.
Over the course of this season, with the penalties he's gotten for just being a little bit too eager at the starts and for a little bit of contact here and there. That's really been the one thing that's been able to put a stop to Adam Watson, hasn't it, Chaz? So if he can dial that out for these final few races of the season, he could really be unstoppable for this championship.
Absolutely could be. Got Stephen Kershaw now still having to defend from Heinz Mayer. He puts the car right to the inside of the hairpin, but I think he's going to undo himself there with that, because look at Christopher Rowe. He goes down the inside of Heinz Mayer. He actually ends up getting blocked by Stephen Kershaw on the inside. Stephen can't decide where to go here. He's all over the road trying to just block every part of it. You need to be careful with how many times you move. Heinz Mayer and Christopher Rowe end up side by side. Lee Berridge goes down the inside and he's running to the back of the Lamborghini. Lee Berridge into the pits. And he's off. He's never mind in the pits. He's off. He's completely pinned it. It's still pinned. Is there something wrong with the hardware? What was that? Heinz Mayer into the pits. What on earth was that, boys?
So let's have a look here. It's coming together on the exit.
I think Lee had some sort of hardware issue, because watch how quickly it accelerates. Wow.
Yeah.
And look, it's still flat, look. There's something wrong there hardware-wise, because if we go to this, watch, halfway round, it just goes flat and accelerates, and it's like the wheel's gone loose.
Yeah.
That's
Shifter as well doesn't seem to be working.
That's a really, really odd moment, that is. Wow. Wow, oh wow. That is not good. Hines,
heartbreaking, isn't it?
luckily back out, but yeah, outside of the points.
Throughout all of that carnage and chaos, Martin Kenyon finds himself in 15th place now with that reverse grid pole position. One of the drivers to, I think, benefit from all of the madness in and around that moment going through this corner on the previous lap. But isn't just content with 15th, he wants to get a little bit more by the looks of things. This is right in behind Mark Johnson.
Yeah, absolutely. He could go all the way for it here, could Martin, with 1 lap to go after this one. Adam Watson is most of the way around his 20th lap of the race. It will be 20 laps per race here tonight. But further up the order, it's still Dan McCauley holding on ahead of Arthur Thurtle. He's just got 1 more circulation to do this to score another podium this season. He's had 4 of them. 2 third places at Donington earlier on in the season. A race win at Snetterton, then a race win at Alton Park. Can he get another and continue a 100% record of third places at Donington? That would be quite the record to have, wouldn't it?
That would be brilliant. And who's to say that it wouldn't be a complete shutout? He's got obviously 15 reverse grid to contend with, but he's done it once before as Jake Cranstone. That's something we haven't seen often from Jake.
What, getting
It's
hit?
a little bit of a spin. Oh, I thought he had a spin for himself there.
No, he got head-butted by Ben Idris Abdullahi, but great sportsmanship there by Ben.
Yeah.
He waited and he gave up his positions. Matt Hoyland went through. Great sportsmanship that by Ben, and even in a championship hunt as well. Hats off, Ben. Fair play.
Brilliant stuff. Brilliant stuff. The Mercedes drivers sticking together and staying true to one another, keeping themselves in check, really, so the stewards don't need to get involved, which is great. It means that, less work for you, Chaz, really, at the end of the day.
Yeah, definitely. It's making my life easier, but, well, this man certainly made my life easier than he made it last time in this race. We love you, Adam. But what a great, great run he's had of this race here in the Lamborghini. He's hoping to take whatever fight he can to the championship contenders, considering that he started a few race meetings late this season due to other dropouts. He's just been absolutely awesome, especially here at Donington Park. Into the final corner then, and around the hairpin comes Adam Watson, and he will take the race victory in round 13 of the SRM GT3 Winter Tour by Derbyshire Holiday Homes. Great, great drive, Adam Watson, and what a wonderful drive as well for Lewis Ward. As Heinz Mayer facing the wrong way there, ahead of 3rd and 4th. He gets out of the way. Lewis Ward is 2nd, and Dan McCauley gets an all-important podium ahead of his championship rival Arthur Thurtle. Nils Kaur is going to come home and cross the line in 5th position. Matt Hoyland will be absolutely, I'll say it again, buzzing with 6th place. That's his best result of the season, that is. Very well done to Matt. He'll be over the moon there. He's had a 6th place at Donington earlier on in the season, and he's got another one now. Chris Jennings just beats Ben Chalcraft across the line for 10th. And let's have a look for 12th, 13th, 14th and 15th. It's Stephen Kershaw, Christopher Rowe, Mark Johnson and Martin Kenyon.
Wonderful little battle to round out this race. Stephen Kershaw, hats off to him for what an amazing defensive drive. Probably one of the best defensive drives we've seen this season, wasn't it, Chaz? To keep the likes of Christopher Rowe, Mark Johnson in the mix as well. Heinz Mayer had a few bites at the cherry as well.
Yeah.
Took on all comers and came out on top.
Yeah, very, very well done there to Stephen Kershaw. Some really hard-earned championship points. And that means that this man, Martin Kenyon, car number 3, the DXT Porsche, will start from pole position for race 2 in just a little bit. Well, while the drivers go into the next warm-up session, Ed and I will just take a quick break here on Chaz Draycott Media, and we'll be right back with you, and we'll give you the results of round 13.
And look at Jochen Hahn and Antonio Albacete. The two of them go flying through the right-hand side, then the left-hand side. Jochen Hahn around the outside, and Lucas Hahn, no father and son, come together on the exit of turn 1.
And the best thing about this is the fact that it's still a 15-minute sprint race. They've not extended the time of the race. It's still just like, it's going to be, what, 7 laps of start.
We get to the real nitty-gritty of motorsport.
Cranston and Smith are side by side for the title in the very final race of the season. As they go back up the hill towards the Schumacher. Nils Core clips the back at 10. Simon Povey clips the side of Nils Core. They go over the hill and Povey's around.
Oh my god, that's going to definitely be the thumbnail, isn't it? Hit me in the right direction. Thank you so much.
23 cars.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Hello again, everybody. Chaz Draycott and Ed May here for the SRM GT3 Winter Tour by Derbyshire Holiday Homes, rounds 13 and 14 from Donington Park, if you can see it through the fog. And we've just completed the 13th round of the championship, the first race of the night here. And what a great race it was, Ed. We have 22 cars in the field tonight, but it's quality over quantity, isn't it? And what a great bunch of drivers we had there, showing off many different aspects of what makes a great driver. We had some awesome overtaking manoeuvres, great opportunism, lovely patience from some drivers, but also some great defending from the likes of Stephen Kershaw and Dan McCauley.
Yeah, it was a brilliant race all around. So many wonderful moments to pick out. Like you mentioned, it's difficult to choose just the one. Though for me, it's going to be easy to pick it. But for me, Adam Watson's drive that we didn't really see too much of was probably one of the best drives of the race, wasn't it? Just his pace, his consistency in that pace as well, to continue pulling, nearly half a second each and every lap to the rest of the drivers around him. That takes some doing. It'll take some beating in this second race of the evening, which is about to get underway shortly. We're just coming to the end of the warm-up, but we have the rundown of the Race 1 results, Chaz.
We absolutely do, and what a great victory that was by Adam Watson, winning by just under 8.5 seconds from Lewis Ward. Lewis was no slouch either, and to be fair, in most cases there got caught up by Dan McCauley, but based on what Dan's been saying in the Discord between races, he just made a bunch of mistakes actually, and Arthur had to sort of get out of it from hitting him, and the two of them have apologised to each other for either the mistakes or the little nudges and whatever, and they both had a great time by the look of it. But Dan McCauley ultimately finished in third place, his fifth podium of the season. Arthur Thurtle still will lead the championship, I believe, because he finished ahead of Ben Idris Abdullahi. I don't think Dan's got enough points there to catch up to him at this present moment. Nils Kaur, we saw great self-preservation from Nils in 5th position in that one, with Matt Hoyland in 6th, Jake Cranstone 7th after contact with Ben Idris Abdullahi and some wonderful sportsmanship from the latter, finishes in 8th. Chris Jennings and Ben Chalcraft complete the top 10 after solid drives by them, and Dennis Van Beelen as well. Great drive from him. Stephen Kershaw was brilliant in defence ahead of Christopher Rowe, Mark Johnson and Martin Kenyon, who will be on pole position for race 2. Following on from them was Kim Such, and then the cars that were one lap down or more were John Roberts, Heinz Mayer, Lee Berridge, Simon Price, Drew Fletcher and Ryan Penny. Seemed like Ryan had a few technical issues actually at the start of that previous race, Ed, and he didn't actually fully take to the race. I think he only completed 2 or 3 laps, unfortunately. But hopefully he can get back out there for the next race.
Yeah, hopefully so. Same, of course, with Lee Berridge, who we saw have his own technical gremlins, didn't we, towards the tail end of that first race. So fingers crossed, whatever it was that was the issue there has been resolved. Only driver out on the circuit at this moment in time, Simon Price. Get to see the gingerbread BMW in all of its glory.
Yeah, I enjoy this thing.
Just for the next 7 minutes or so while we wait for the next race to get underway. Drivers obviously have the option to go out, but a lot of the time after a very intense 30-minute race, the one thing they want to do is have a quick refresher break, isn't it? Get yourself some water, get your fluids back up, and maybe dump some fluids if you've been busted for a piss since the race start, which is, to be fair, something that I've done many a time. Forgotten to go to the loo before a race. Sometimes done it in an endurance race as well, where I've got an hour stint and you go, oh dear. As soon as you get off of the pit limit, you think, why didn't I just go?
Well, it's a weird one actually in endurance racing. You sort of build up all these nerves and this moment, and you think, you get so nervous before a stint, for example. When you get past that initial part, when you're finally in the car and driving down the pit lane, you start to relax a little bit, and that's when you need a wee. So it's just it's just how it is, unfortunately.
Just gotta be careful to not relax too much. That's when you need a replacement seat.
Yeah, that's easily done. Especially at my age.
All the best to it.
Yeah. But Simon Price, the only car out there at the moment, but the gingerbread house is certainly making itself very visible out there on the circuit. I'm intrigued to see what the next livery is going to be from Simon. It's great to see the colour matched wheels on it, though. He does go into a lot of detail with these things. He had a Kinder Bueno recently, Kinder Bueno livery. I don't know if he's eaten one recently, but he had a Kinder Bueno livery recently that had the red colour matched wheels on it as well. So we thank Simon for his continued creativeness. And someone's got to do something to change the looks of that BMW. He's now teleported back up the far end of the pit lane after going all the way down to the bottom. Clearly is iRacing Marshaller right at the top end. But yeah, as you see, the pit lane very much downhill here at Donington Park. You always forget when you go there, it seems like it's really flat and then uphill towards turn 1. But it's actually a very downhill start-finish straight. It's really weird. It's honestly such an optical illusion here at Donington. You don't expect it at all. So it's just, I need to go back to that camera angle, because just look how steep the buildings are on the right-hand side. It's just crazy. Really crazy. It's like Snetterton. Snetterton feels like a perfectly flat start-finish straight, but it's actually very uphill as you go down. I was going to say down it. You go up it towards turn 1.
About the steepest still in Norfolk, to be fair, though. That and Bombhole at Snetterton are the probably biggest changes of elevation you get across the entire county, because having lived there for nearly all of my life, there's not a whole lot really in terms of elevation, which is probably why it's the circuit. While it's one of my favourites, is a circuit that drivers maybe don't like as much, just because there doesn't have that variety. Speaking of a circuit that does have a lot of variety, obviously recently added to iRacing Cadwell Park.
Yeah,
that's the complete opposite really to Snetterton, and my word, that is one heck of a track.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't think we're going to go there in GT3s, but still, it could be a laugh in a lot of other cars. We do have Thruxton available to us, but how scary that would be in GT3s, I do not know. Still, the session is about to finish now, and it's Stephen Kershaw, the only car on the circuit, that will be heading into the pit lane. Or he should be in any second now. There you go. Oh, I love it. You still get the overrun noise. You still hear it pop and crackle, even though it just gets lobbed out of the sim. So, round 14 of the championship. Just 2 races to go after this, Ed, at 25 points apiece, which means after this race there will only be 50 points available in the championship. So that means, if you look at it, come in here, or people that were on, what, 71 points were still in with a chance mathematically. That goes all the way down to Simon Povey in 8th. So there were still 8 drivers before we came here tonight that could win the championship if we leave here on the same sort of scores.
Bonkers.
Absolutely.
It really is bonkers just how close the championship has gotten. Like you say, 50 points available into that final round. And of course, no drop scores for that final race. Basically, the championship order that goes into that final round is basically going to set the stage for one heck of a finish to what has been a brilliant season. One more race to go, though, before we fully shift our focus to Silverstone in a week's time. And it is Martin Kenyon who will be starting this second race from pole position. The man who won with great form, Adam Watson, all the way down in 15th. A lot of work to do. Needs to get ahead of some of his main rivals as well. Lewis Ward, Dan McCauley, Arthur Thurtle, Niels Kaur, all up there. And they're going to be doing their very best to get in his way.
They absolutely will. To continue on, oh, there's Dennis Van Beelen in the pit lane now. He would have been starting 5th on the grid, but it's Mark Johnson 2nd, then Christopher Rowe and Stephen Kershaw. Would have been Dennis Van Beelen and Ben Chalcraft, Chris Jennings and Ben Idris Abdullahi, Jake Cranstone and Matt Hoyland on the 5th row, Niels Kaur and Arthur Thurtle on row 6, ahead of Dan McCauley and Lewis Ward and Adam Watson. The rest of the field are then as they were in the finishing result from race 1. But Martin Kenyon, a lot of pressure on him now. He's made sure that he's clarified the starting procedure itself, basically. And he's now in a position to know exactly what he does. He chooses when to go. Everybody behind is instructed to remain in their columns and not make any efforts to overtake before the start-finish line. Here we go then. Round the hairpin, everybody checking up on the brakes, and Martin Kenyon gets us underway for the 14th round of the championship. Some great behaviour further back. You could see them slowing down to make sure they didn't overtake. Arthur Thurtle in particular doing a great job there. But Kenyon leads Johnson into turn 1. Rowe and Kershaw side by side behind as well. Kershaw actually loses a lot of ground and ends up on the outside of the corner. This is going to get very feisty as they head down the hill, Ed.
There you go. Action plenty, isn't it, as we make our way down in towards the old hairpin. More, they're keeping each other at arm's length. They know that any mistake at this stage of the championship could be deadly for their aspirations. This tail end, Dan McCauley though, looking up the inside, isn't he, of Arthur Thurtle. Not able to get the drive out, hoping for the overlap though, in towards McLean's. Another car looking up his inside, actually in behind.
That was Adam Watson.
Ooh, that was Adam Watson.
Lewis Ward around the outside.
There in the mix.
Johnson's
Lewis
off.
Ward's really going for it. Johnson's doing some maintenance. As who's that spinning around?
Penny.
That's one of the McLarens. That is Ryan Penny. So far, look at that, all the way around the outside. Oh, there's a little bit of contact. The front end has just collapsed off of it and then reattaches itself.
Well, that's championship leader Arthur Thurtle, let's not forget as well. Adam Watson in there with Lewis Ward having a good old scrap. Dan McCauley's going to get held up. He's got John Roberts on his inside as well. There's a lot of championship protagonists involved in all of this. Niels Kaur is ahead of all of them. But further up the road, Ben Idris Abdullahi is able to run away as well, so he has got a bit of free time from these boys. Lewis Ward and Arthur Thurtle leaning on each other out of the final corner, completely side by side. And with one lap in the books, it is Martin Kenyon leading, Christopher Rowe second, then it's Stephen Kershaw. Jake Cranstone has gained 5 spots already, then it's Jennings and Ben Idris Abdullahi. Lovely opportunism there by Adam Watson down the inside of Arthur Thurtle, but Kenyon has got a 1 second lead over everyone else.
Martin Kenyon ahead of Christopher Rowe. Really good pace shown by Martin at this early stage. So with Christopher Rowe and Stephen Kershaw, they're not looking too far back, but look who's right in behind them. Jake Cranstone. We didn't see too much of him, did we? The action wasn't really around him. in that first race. This is his time to shine, though. Right in the second race, and already closing up massively through the subsequent double right-handers. We've got the Mercedes as well of Matt Hyland, Benedictus Abdullahi going wheel to wheel in towards the chicane. Matt Hyland conceding ground there to Abdullahi. Ben Chalcraft as well, setting his sights on the cars ahead, but Nils Court, he's got his sights set firmly on the Lamborghini of Chris Jennings, and diving up the inside. Is there going to be a little follow through potentially from Lewis Ward? Yes, there is on the exit. Lovely little cheeky move through there, and then Adam Watson as well in the mix. He's going to get boxed out and needs to be very careful. There's a little bit of contact. Somehow he keeps it going and gets his way through on the outside. Brilliant car control there. Slides the car on the way out of the corner, but it doesn't matter. He's got the move made. Meanwhile, look at this now. Up the inside into third place goes Jake Cranstone. Getting a great start to this race. Already sealed now with a podium on the cards for him. Just needs to now focus on Christopher Rowe and Martin Kenny, who themselves are about a second or so up the road.
Real shame to see what happened to Mark Johnson. He is now down in 16th position and out of the points after starting right at the front of the grid. I'm going to try and find the moment he went off. Is it just going to go round on him? Yeah, look at that. Wow. Just over that crest, and that's all it took. Fair play to him. He keeps it moving pretty sharpish. We've had a car lose a few places here. I think Ben Chalcraft has had a drama. He's gone off the road, back on, and has not lost too many places, but there's one or two going by him. Lee Berridge is now off in the Ferrari. He now recovers. Mark Johnson regains a place on him, goes back into the points. Also John Roberts as well, side by side with Mark there. Mark gets out of that one. Wow, so much going on at the start of this second race. Already 5 minutes gone. Matt Hyland and Ben Idris Abdullahi side by side for Mercedes honours, although I would say that, but Jake Cranstone's still ahead of them. The two of them side by side now back up the hill towards the final hairpin. Ben Idris Abdullahi has chance here to gain a lot of places and points back in the championship over the likes of Nils Kaur, Dan McCauley and Arthur Thurtle. Dan and Arthur are actually 11th and 12th at the present moment. Not gained much ground at all. Dan has gained 2 places. Arthur has stayed exactly where he started this race. And at the moment it's Adam Watson 2 places ahead of them. Lewis Ward going well as well. Nils Kaur also. This one's definitely coming into the hands of Satellite Racing COR here, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I'm getting dizzy, Chaz, to be honest. I'm looking at the action on track, looking at our timing software as well to keep eyes on the battles. I don't know how you're managing it and not needing the little sick bucket with you, because this is just everywhere you look. There's something going on. Nils Kaur looking for a little move. Oh, it's covered off though by Stephen Kershaw, and now by that little look up the inside that's thrown him off course. Around the outside goes Lewis Ward. If he's able to get the drive out of the corner, he'll have the inside
contact. Nils Kaur is around.
Adam Watson around.
Dan McCauley
into the back. Dan McCauley's out as well. Oh my word, what has gone on there? Arthur Thurtle seemingly getting through scot-free, but Lewis Ward and Adam Watson as well, very fortunate. I have no idea though. Adam Watson just seemed to go right through the back and actually through Dan McCauley.
It was, I think Nils Kaur checked up for something.
Nils Kaur, sorry, yeah.
Kershaw's lost it. Kershaw lost it. Nils Kaur slowed down. And Watson goes through them, and then Kaur's car, well, he's on the brakes. You can see the brake lights on. He then collects Ben Chalcraft and Dan McCauley. No fault of his own, but wow.
Yeah. This needs to go for this view, I think, is best. So Nils Kaur with the inside. The instant just happens across him, and then again, through no fault of his own. We've seen that as well in another winter tour, didn't we, Chaz? With Nils Kaur in the GT4s.
Yeah.
Where he was just in this late stage of the championship, just no fault of his own, caught up in other people's incidents, and his luck once more just not favouring him at this stage of the championship.
That is absolutely devastating stuff. It means that Arthur Thurtle has gained a bunch of places over the likes of Dan McCauley. Dan's actually had to come into the pit lane. He's now come back out onto the circuit, but down in 21st place. He'll be seething after that earlier result. Nils Kaur is running in 17th position at present. Arthur Thurtle, like you said, got away scot-free.
Throughout all of that as well, Cranstone's actually up into second now. He got ahead of Christopher Rowe.
Yeah.
He missed that one throughout all of the action elsewhere.
Well, stupidly, I was just on board with Christopher Rowe, and as soon as I've cut away, Cranstone's done him into the towards the chicane here.
There we go. and that's a relatively easy move. I don't think Chris was really going to fight that one, was he? Knew that it was going to be an easy move for Jake, so didn't want to make it any harder and slow them both up. And now it becomes, well, a 5-6 way fight for the race lead. You can see Martin Kenyon just at the front of the shot there, and then the chase impact in behind. But for now, I think it's, if Jake can get ahead of Martin Kenyon and build the gap, this could be his race one. But looking at where Adam Watson is at the moment, he's not a million miles away either.
No, he's only 2.7 seconds behind the car we ride on board with now. Christopher Rowe going a little bit hot into the old hairpin there. Looks like Ben Idris Abdullahi, stablemate of his, don't forget, because this is the Satellite Racing Chicane Online Racing car. Sort of a split team, Satellite Racing and Chicane Online Racing, all good friends. But that is the Chicane Online Racing Porsche just ahead of Christopher Rowe. I know these guys communicate, they'll all be in the same Discord together, they'll be trying to work with each other where they can. Stephen Kershaw has been off the road, unfortunately, and lost more ground. Nils Core has actually got past them and gained a few places as well. But yeah, really, really solid fight for the top few positions. Lewis Ward has got Adam Watson right behind him. He has for now anyway. Flipping heck, Adam just holds on to that one. That was a scary old moment, that through the chicane. But that's the risk, isn't it? When you're following somebody through the chicane like that, you can very easily lose your markers as to where you've got to turn in and upset the car over the curbs.
Just one of those moments where if your focus, like you say, if it just is taken away for a brief moment, something the car in front is doing or just blocking your view, it's all about the momentum. And because of the nature of this circuit as well, the corners being just relentless around here and the runoff being as close as it is, obviously you've got a bit more space to go if you make a mistake, but it is a track that does invite those quite often, doesn't it, Chaz? Just by nature of how tricky a lot of these corners are. As you can see, a beautiful shot of two McLarens side by side, John Roberts and Mark Johnson. John Roberts actually up 7 places since the start of this race, so having a great time of things. But I thought that was going to be a really cheeky move if Mark Johnson was going to get it up on the inside. And massive slide, actually, a little bit of tank slapper for John Roberts there.
Yeah, that was a big old moment of John Roberts, but he's got himself a top 10 spot, and he wants to do his best now to hold on to that ahead of Mark Johnson. Kim Such, Heinz Mayer and Drew Fletcher in there as well. Drew started near the back of the grid for this one, and he's got himself into a point scoring place. But we need to go back to the front of the order. 20 minutes left to go on the clock, and Martin Kenyon is now under pressure from Jake Cranstone, and Jake sends it down the inside into the hairpin, tries his best to get it stopped as nearly contact. Good stuff by Martin there to give loads of room to the inside. Comes over to the right a little bit just to try and squeeze Jake that way. Adam Watson's been off the road. Adam Watson's had a moment, but we'll come back to that. Jake Cranstone's going to try and get the cutback. Is he going to make that work? No, Martin parks it on the inside. Great stuff by Kenyon. Put it perfectly in the right place.
Lost a lot of time, though. Lost a lot of ground on the way out, Chaz.
Yeah, he has.
On turn 1.
Jake Cranstone down the inside in that big orange Mercedes. Nothing subtle about either of these cars. They still remain side by side for the race lead. All this time, Christopher Rowe just behind them, and Ben Idris Abdullahi as well wanted a piece of this. Is Jake Cranstone ahead? Yes, he is. Bravely cuts across the front of the Porsche in that Mercedes. It's 2 Porsches and 2 Mercedes inside the top 4 here. As Ben Idris Abdullahi now not too far off the lead battle. Look at this as they head up the hill.
I want to see what on earth happened there to Adam Watson, because he was only 2 seconds behind our race leader. And all of a sudden sees himself dropping back a little bit more, losing 3 seconds. Just that one moment. Ben Idris Abdullahi, though, like you say, he's hunting down that podium. This was it. The move up the inside of Lewis Ward. Overshoots it and actually goes into Matt Hoyland there.
Yeah, unfortunately, that was shades of overconfidence that we saw at Alton Park there by Adam. A little bit late on the brakes down the inside, and it just didn't work out as Kim Such is now in the middle of the road in his Audi. And struggling to get it going. His teammate Heinz Mayer is off the road. I really hope these two have not hit each other. Cardinal sin of motorsport. No, Heinz is already around. Oh, and Drew does his best to avoid it, and then Kim comes flying through as well. Wow.
Yeah, mate. Idris Abdullahi has gotten ahead now of Christopher Rowe.
Matt Hoyland.
Matt Hoyland is making sure that everyone's awake. Is up the inside, I think. Are we going to see Lewis Ward make the move? Yes, he is. Matt Hoyland conceding that position. Arthur Thurtle now in behind Adam Watson. This is a championship fight as well to keep your eyes on.
Yeah, these two heading down. Sorry, go on.
Well, well, I was going to say, let's not forget, while Adam Watson doesn't necessarily see himself in the best championship position right now, he scored some big points in that first race, and also because he missed out on the first round of the championship, has a bigger sort of reverse, or not a bigger drop round as well to his name, so he could still find himself right up there in contention going into the final race meeting of the season. So for Arthur Thurtle, he needs to make up as many positions as he can now, especially with some of his main championship rivals, the likes of Dan McCauley particularly, not scoring many points, or any points at the moment actually for poor Dan. It's a real opportunity for others to make some big gains in the championship now, going into, well, this being the third, or the first of the final three. Is a little bit of netcode there. Was that Lewis Ward getting
I think
sent
Lewis
around, or was there contact?
I think Lewis jumped out of the way. I think he saw Matt going deep there and he turned left out of the way. Really solid awareness by Lewis Ward. Matt just went a little bit too hot, and I know Matt, he'll want to fairly give that one back. So he says, look, we restore the peace, we restore where we were. But yeah, that was scary. I think Lewis did turn left out of the way. Yeah, I think, to be fair, I think Lewis was going in hot behind Christopher Rowe as well, and I think he turned left because of that. John Roberts is off. John Roberts has stopped on the inside of the hairpin.
Oh, careful.
I think he knows there's a 17 or
space,
17-second gap back to Simon Price. But John gets it back underway. That car seemingly has damage to me. That was not all perfect and straight. I think he might get clipped here by Johnson. No. Or does he get clipped in... No. Strange.
Weird. Anyways, credit actually to Martin Kenyon. He's not dropped away from Jake Cranstone, since Jake has now gotten into the lead of the race.
No, he's there.
Benedras Abdullahi. That was a difficult task ahead of him because Martin Kenyon is very good at defending. Plus, he's also got the slipstream of the car ahead to really help him out with those extra few kilometers an hour.
He's got the lead.
He's got the lead back.
Wow. Jake Cranstone with a slowdown penalty, perhaps.
Definitely, it must have been.
And now Adam Watson very late into the hairpin, but look at that, tries to make it work around the outside of Jake. That's going to be the inside for the next corner. That's a great move. That is a really good move. I mean, actually, Jake was slowing down a bit, but yeah, still, fair play by Adam Watson. Really committed on the brakes. But would you look at this? We're going board with Arthur Thurtle. All those cars in front. That is the lead battle here at Donington Park in the SRM GT3 Winter Tour by Derbyshire Holiday Homes. The top 8 cars separated by less than 3.5 seconds, with, well, nearly half of this race gone. As of right now, there is half of the race gone. Incredible stuff.
And it's a testament to how tight this race is, as Lewis Ward now sees himself up into third place. We go back to what I was saying earlier, how tight this race is, with that one mistake from Jake Cranstone, that one slowdown, taking him from the lead of the race down into 8th place. That's how close it is up at the front of the field, as Martin Kenyon again putting his car in the perfect place to keep Idris Abdullahi in behind. The door has been left open though now in towards McLean's, but speed around the outside, a little bit of door contact together. The wing mirrors rubbing one another, sort of just red raw as now Martin Kenyon with the inside line, but he's lost out and I think going to concede that position now to a different Mercedes, this time of the Frenchman Ben Idris Abdullahi leads the race now. Adam Watson, forever the intimidating figure, he cuts in behind Matt Hoyland, as again Matt Hoyland with a little move up the inside, another Porsche getting sent there, and that was Christopher Rowe. Actually, great opportunism, was it, for Adam Watson, who gained the position as well.
Yeah, really, really nicely done there. He usually tries to get around the outside of them into there to then get the inside for the final corner, but yeah, this time he was there. A little bit of a squeeze to the inside there through the last corner, but he gets away with it. I was just having a look at Idris Abdullahi's record for this season, by the way. He's only been on the podium twice, which shows you just how consistent he is. He's almost constantly in the top 5, is Ben. He's an incredibly, incredibly consistent driver. But, I mean, Silverstone, he was 18th and 16th after having 2 nightmare races. Other than that, he's not been outside of the top 10 all season. And he's only... Oh, there's Christopher Rowe. Christopher Rowe's gone. Whoa, big old moment for Christopher Rowe. He's going to rejoin in as safe a manner as he can. Drags a load of dirt and debris across the road. Thanks, iRacing. Let's see what happened here. Oh, he's just lost it on the weight transfer. And that is a big old accident as well. The damage not reflecting what's actually happened to that car.
Again, though, it's just mistakes creeping in, isn't it? This the non-stop action from the first race and also the second race that's just, I think, causing a little bit of fatigue maybe for some of these drivers. Lewis Ward, though, great run now. This is his opportunity to get up into second place ahead of Martin Kenyon. Martin leaves the door open, realises that Lewis is probably going to be able to get through ahead and on pure pace. Could help him out to hold to this podium, but there's still a little bit of an overlap now in towards the final corner. Martin Kenyon, though, is he going to be able to get the exit? And Lewis Ward able to get on the power that little bit earlier because of the wider line. But look who's right in behind the pair of them as well to pick up the pieces. Man who won race 1 in dominant fashion, Adam Watson. He's not had quite an easy time of things, but
no!
No!
Kenyon just clips the back of Lewis Ward. He tried to follow him too closely through the corner, and we've seen that happen before. After an update a while ago to iRacing, it's always the car behind that comes off worse. It just bounces off the back of the car in front, and unfortunately Martin Kenyon is the latest one to fall prey to it. He just tried that little bit to follow too closely to Lewis Ward there for his own good, and then just bips him there mid-corner, takes away all of the rotation on the front, and then gives it a little bit too much in return.
Yeah, it's just so unfortunate. A little bit of contact as well. It wasn't really anything in it, but just the way that these cars handle each other on iRacing, if you go into the back of the car ahead, you're more than likely going to find yourself just getting pitched around into a spin from the front. Now it's a shame, but that's just the way that it seems to work on iRacing.
It is indeed. It's always been the case in other sims elsewhere, and now it's come here to infect us. But at the moment, Dan McCauley's hoping that he can infect the points and get at least one out of this race. He just needs to get ahead into Dennis Van Beelen's position. It says 17th on his windscreen, but he started the lap there behind Christopher Rowe in that Porsche right behind him now. He just needs to gain one more place. He's got Dennis Van Beelen and then Simon Price just ahead. Bunch of very different cars here. The BMW with its 6-cylinder turbo, and then you've got the 5.2 litre V10 mid-engined Audi, the 78 litre V8 in front of the Mustang, and then of course the probably 1.6 litre flat 6 Porsche behind screaming its bag off. A great list of noises and a very, very interesting pack of cars to have together. People that have flown under the radar in this race: Kim Such up 3 places, Simon Price actually in the big gingerbread house has gained 6 positions, Arthur Thurtle's gained 7, Ben Chalcraft has actually dropped 5, but he was involved in the earlier incident and is still only just outside of the top 10, as Dan McCauley has now got ahead of Dennis Van Beelen and is into the points.
Yeah, so far, so well. Good.
Don't say good.
Recovery drive, I guess. I was going to say in terms of the recovery drive, not in terms of the race for Dan McCauley, just because he was in such a good position, wasn't he? And it's just one of those little moments where you get caught up in and just an innocent incident with a massive ramification. It's his fault that there was the spin in front of him. There was no time that he could react either, was there? Nothing he could have done. And Stephen Kershaw, I know he's going to be feeling absolutely awful, but again, it's just an innocent mistake. Those things happen.
Absolutely. It's one of those things. Lewis Ward has just been overtaken by Adam Watson into the hairpin. Lewis went very wide hoping to get a run on him, and it just didn't work out. Thurtle looks down the inside of Matt Hoyland into the hairpin. Matt makes sure that Arthur's definitely on his toes. 2 of them right together, and with 9 1/4 minutes left to go, Adam Watson is now back up into 2nd position, even after his earlier dramas. He's having a hell of a run through the field. Arthur Thurtle around the outside surely will have the run in the Corvette, but the Mercedes traction out of that first corner looks brilliant from here. Hoyland's still on the inside. Thurtle doesn't want to give him an inch. Hoyland doesn't want to do the same either. Around the outside for Hoyland, now down the inside for Hoyland. Thurtle around the outside, carries great pace. Now watch Cranstone. Can he also get the run on his fellow Mercedes? Goes to the left-hand side. He's going to put himself on the outside line for McLean's. Doesn't go for it there, or does he? No. Tries to hold the pace a little bit and stay close, but nothing doing this time round. Dan McCauley now ahead of Simon Price, who's hoping to stay inside the points here. He's got a championship point so far this season. He wants another one, but he's got to hold off the Chicane Online Racing duo of Dennis Van Beelen and Christopher Rowe if he wants to do that.
Yeah, a lot of work to keep these drivers in and behind, of course, for Simon Price, but he's doing the very best he can do. Dennis Van Beelen, though, well, he's not had the best start to a race. He's going to try and make amends for it. But here is, I think Jake Cranstone has gotten ahead of Matt Hoyland. Just seen him shoot up into the place. Let's have a look. Was it just through the chicane? Is it a slowdown potentially? 23. So. Looks like it does drop back on pace a little bit.
Potentially, yeah. I thought at first it was just a lovely cutback, but yeah. Oh, Matt Hoyland's actually gone into the pits.
Ooh, is that incident limit drive-through? He's going into the pits, so maybe not a drive-through. Maybe he's not sure what's going on there. Hasn't pulled out of the car.
No. Don't know. That's really, really weird.
Could not tell you what's going on.
Didn't he do that again at Alton Park last time?
Oh, now you're asking me to remember things, Chaz. That's hard. I think it was similar, actually. Yeah.
I want to know whose dog that is on the back of Ben Idris Abdullahi's car. that's all I know at this point. But Adam Watson very much filling the mirrors right now. And to be fair, I think this is going to be a case of when, not if, with the drive that Adam's on at the moment. You've seen how confident he's been, how persistent he's been in this race. And Francois Brandet saying that it's a hold penalty for Matt, so like a stop and go, so to speak. He barely missed serving a slowdown, apparently. So yeah, that's where he lost the position, and then after that he's had to give it up, unfortunately, and head down the pit lane. But the lead battle is on. No win this season for Ben Idris Abdullahi so far. He's had a second place in race 2 at Donington, funnily enough, last time we were here, and then a third place last time out at Alton Park. The last 4 races in the championship, he's been inside the top 5. So he's been right up there the whole time. Just see whether he continues that for this one. Kim Such is under pressure from Dan McCauley right now. Dan continuing this comeback drive through the field. He's now right up behind the Audi. The Mustang makes that Audi look absolutely minuscule, doesn't it? It's incredible, the size difference. As we've had... Oh, Nils Core just blinking out there. Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, Dan McCauley, he's making that Mustang just look so light. It's just squirming around every time he puts the power down. Like it's just weighs nothing and got an absolutely ungodly amount of power behind it. He's, again, making up yet another position. Dan McCauley now up into 12th place. Ben Idris Abdullahi needs to get his elbows, his arms, his legs, his feet, everything out, really, doesn't he, to keep this guy behind, Adam Watson. His pace has been just something else. No one's been able to hold a candle to him all evening long. And while he's been caught in a few moments here and there, he's been able to come through on the other side, still relatively in one piece. Now, Ben Idris Abdullahi's defence, all that good pace isn't really paying for much, and it's allowing Lewis Ward to maybe reinsert himself back into the fight for the win.
Yeah, it's like you said earlier, nobody seems to be able to stop Adam Watson except Adam Watson. And he's proven that a little bit this race, but even then, you know, everybody is still just secondary to him, I'm afraid. You know, no disrespect to any of them, but he's got those moves down the inside, and you know they can be ruthless. And whether it comes down to people jumping out of the way to avoid an accident or what, he's made his way through the pack here, and he is now right up behind Abdullahi with 4.5 minutes left to go. So what's that going to be? 3 laps after this one. So not long at all left to go in the gloom here at Donington Park. You're watching round number 14 of the Sim Racing Magazine GT3 Winter Tour by Derbyshire Holiday Homes. Thanks once again to championship sponsors Oris Analytics and Bespoke Shelters as well for their support of the series. Thanks to all the drivers for making it as entertaining as it is, to sticking to the rules, and obviously dealing with all the popularity ballast, which has given us such a great variety in the field this season. As Simon Price is off the road. He's still in a point-scoring position until Drew Fletcher goes through like that. And unfortunately, that single championship point has just slipped through Simon's fingers. For now, though, there's 4 minutes left to go as Adam sends it up the inside on Ben Idris Abdullahi. Somehow gets that Lamborghini to work on the exit. Let's see what they do here in towards the hairpin. Ben, as late as he can be. There's contact between the two little touches. Both of them going a little bit hot into there, I think. To be fair, Adam was the one that was on the line, and Ben ran a little bit wide, bipped off him. They both did well to carry on, but that will not go down well with either of them. They'll both feel like the other one was at fault and feel fired up by that. All the while, this Porsche is getting a better and better view of this lead the whole time, isn't it?
It's a really exciting battle right in these final 3 minutes of the race. Adam Watson, he's trying everything. He's got the pace. We know he's quicker, but that doesn't count for it. Well, diddly squat, does it, if you can't get ahead of the car in front of you. And Ben is doing a perfect job of just not really holding up Adam, but more just sort of putting his car in the right spots to not really allow Adam to get the run and to properly attack him. He's not really going massively defensive, is
No.
Ben.
No, he's really not. He's not sort of lobbing the car to the inside at every corner to block off the apex. He's just driving his lines, and then as soon as Adam goes for a move, he's just finding a way to combat it and come back at him. Like, watch here, we'll see if Adam goes for it down the inside again. No, he's going to try and go deep and go wide into here to then get the run on the exit. He seems really good at getting the traction down in that Lamborghini. It's not something that's easy to do, but every single time it's come down to getting the power out of a corner, Adam just seems able to do it. It's just really, really impressive, and that's the backbone of his pace, it seems, around a circuit like this. But he's got a 100% win record so far this season here at Donington Park. He doesn't want to watch that go to waste. We've got 2 laps to go then here in round 14, and it is the Frenchman Ben Idris Abdullahi, car 269, leading the way. Just checking if a Mercedes has won a race this season, actually, to be fair, and I don't think they have. Ben's come closest in 2nd position. Jake Cranstone's had a 2nd position. Yeah, no Mercedes has won a race so far this season, actually, Ed. We've had Porsches, Lamborghinis, even Fords, Chevrolets, Porsches. Yeah, no Mercedes victory.
Not a one, but maybe. We'll see if Ben Abdullahi can hold on for, well, another lap and a half. That's all he needs to do. Sounds like it's, you know, piece of cake when you phrase it like that, but it's so difficult to keep the quickest driver on circuit right now. Adam Watson in behind again. Look at that little dart to the inside. Not going for the move, but just trying to throw off in towards the chicane. Now, Adam Watson, he's got a great run. Is he going to look for the inside now in towards the Melbourne hairpin? Again, looking for it, and he's committing now right up the inside. This could be the move for the race lead. Look at the brake discs glowing of the Huracan as he chucks up the inside, squirrely on the exit as well. But does he have the overlap to cover off the inside in towards the final corner? Not quite. This is a chance for Abdullahi to try and fight it back, but he just can't carry the pace through. Wonderful move there from Adam Watson. They get close on the exit, but I think Adam has just been able to hang on to this position. Abdullahi right around the outside, only just, but I think now Abdullahi's not going to be able to stick up there with him. Beautiful stuff there from Adam Watson. It was punchy, but it was fair.
Yeah, very punchy indeed. He cut quite deep across, didn't he, on the exit, almost guaranteeing that he'd had the run over the Mercedes and that Abdullahi was not going to be able to get back through. But you can bet that this Mercedes is going to have its neck wrung now for a good minute as he tries to get every ounce of pace out of it. But it just seems like that Lamborghini is just edging and edging away every single time they get back on the power. Look at it, just gradually cruises off, and it just gets quieter and further away. Really, really miraculous stuff by Adam. Lewis Ward is not too far behind these guys, but Ben Idris Abdullahi's got a slight buffer, so he knows he can push. But I think in this final sector alone, Adam is going to have the pace here with just a couple of corners left to go. He's gained 14 places to get to where he is now. Don't want to take a thing away from Lewis Ward, Arthur Thurtle and Jake Cranstone, who have all had their own brilliant drives. Jake lost the lead earlier after the slowdown penalty. Abdullahi going as hard on the brakes as he can, nice and late into the hairpin, but it's not going to work. And after having results taken away at Alton Park, Adam Watson seems to have really turned it around for tonight. He's had a few little knocks here and there, but what a drive that is. Adam Watson, 2 out of 2 again at Donington Park, another Grand Slam. He wins round 14 of the championship here in the SRM GT3 Winter Tour by Derbyshire Holiday Homes. Ben Idris Abdullahi equals his best result of the season. Lewis Ward gets another podium ahead of Arthur Thurtle, Jake Cranstone, and what a night for Chris Jennings. No news is good news, but what a set of results he's had tonight. Mark Johnson is just going to finish ahead of Nils Kaur by the look of it. And then behind them in the background, Ben Chalcraft is going to complete his 2nd top 10 finish of the evening. He'll be really pleased with that. Some good points coming home to the Spontex CDM Esports team. John Roberts next up, and then Dan McCauley recovering up into 12th. Still gets a few points out of that race. But you can bet that Mustang's going to get pulled over ASAP, and he is not going to be a happy bunny. Can Christopher Rowe beat Kim Such to the line for a championship point? Not quite. Just doesn't get there in the end. But what another brilliant race that was, Ed. Can't take away from the likes of Lewis Ward either. He gained 11 places in that. Chris Jennings will be buzzing as well. Lovely night for him.
Brilliant night for so many drivers and not so great for some others. But Adam Watson, you can run out of superlatives, don't you, for him and his performance, especially at Donington Park over the course of the season. 4 victories from 4 visits to Alton Park with 2 of those victories coming from 15th place on the grid in those reverse grid second races. That is a mighty effort.
Yeah, absolutely incredible stuff by Adam Watson. And we'll have a look at the results of that race now. Adam Watson wins by just under half a second from Ben Idris Abdullahi. Excuse me, Ben held on as long as he could there towards the end of that race. A great drive from him though, another consistent night of points for Ben, and that will really help him in the championship. I think potentially, he didn't score that many points in the early race though, did he, compared to Thurtle, so still going to be close in the championship. Lewis Ward, another podium, 2 of them tonight for him. Arthur Thurtle in 4th place, more good points there. Jake Cranstone finishes in 5th, consistent as ever. Chris Jennings, possibly one of the drivers of the night with his previous results. You know, he's done a great job there, 2 top 10 finishes. Martin Kenyon did really well. He held on well with the leaders, but that little tap into the back of Lewis Ward was what undid his race. Mark Johnson finishes 8th, he'll be happy there. Nils Kaur, great recovery to 9th. Ben Chalcraft completes the top 10. John Roberts will be happy with some points from 11th. Dan McCauley will not be happy with 12th position, especially in the way that transpired. Kim Such 13th. He'll be pretty pleased to have beaten Christopher Rowe to the line there after that final little squirt to the line. And then Drew Fletcher, the final point scorer in that race. Dennis Van Beelen was next with Simon Price and Stephen Kershaw. And then the drivers that didn't finish, Matt Hoyland, Ryan Penny, Heinz Mayer and Lee Berridge. So, we'll wait and see if anybody comes in for our interview. But wow, what a busy race that was. I had loads going on in the opening moments of that one. And to be honest, it was the usual superstars from the top end of the championship that really put on a show, wasn't it?
It was, and it was a masterclass by Adam Watson. It was some brilliant defensive drives as well, actually. Ben Idris Abdullah, he did his best to try and keep Adam Watson behind. We also saw a great defensive drive, didn't we, from Stephen Kershaw in that first race. Let's not forget the efforts he put in at the first race of the evening. That was absolutely amazing stuff from him. And Lewis Ward, he's making a great case for him in his championship fight, isn't he? Just ahead of Arthur Thurtle.
Yeah, definitely. Certainly doing a wonderful job. And actually, we can speak to the man now that took 2 race victories tonight. Adam, Happy New Year, first off. Good to have you back with us. That was a great drive through the order. A bit lively in places, as we've just seen in slow-mo now with what happened to Nils Kaur. But what a night for you. 2 more wins at Donny. You like this place, don't you?
Yeah, I do like Donington, and the track's good for the car as well. You would hate to not drive this car here.
Well, the discussion throughout the entire day has been which is the best car around this place. So you've put that one to bed. But you know, another great performance at this circuit. What is it in particular about this track that gets you? It just seems to be your place.
I don't know. I've always liked it. It's always been a track that I've really liked. I think it's the fast flowing nature, then the stop start, hairpins and stuff like that. It's just, I don't know.
A bit of everything.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, there's obviously just 1 race meeting left to go this season, so not long to go now, but how are you feeling with how your season's gone so far? Because obviously, wiping Alton off the board, obviously you've come into this with, you know, a few race meetings less than everyone else, and you're still right up there in the championship hunt, so you must feel proud of that.
Yeah, I'm definitely, I'm happy that, you know, I'm obviously missing Brands, missing Alton, taking Alton off it was definitely not great, because, obviously where I am, but I'm happy where I am. It's, yeah. I'm not surprised, I am surprised I'm there, because, I don't know, it's going to be interesting going to Silverstone. It's, I think it's going to be on. But we'll see what we can do. Coming away from Alton, I think to myself I had a point to prove, but you know, Alton was a bit of a meh.
Yeah, well, I mean, Silverstone, you know, a big venue. You know, it's quite the extravagant venue to go through for the final round, if you like. Flat airfields in the middle of the boring English countryside. But you know, it'll be exciting, I think, because it's a circuit that draws out a lot of the differences in the cars, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I've been helping a few of the drivers for obviously this season, and helping Chris and Heinz and the Lambo around here, and then I did a lap for Simon in the BMW, and the BMW was good around here, so I think going Silverstone, a lot more cars going to be have their strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit more enhanced, let's say.
Yeah, the motor's going to be really good. It's a really good car, and Lambo's going to have good technical stuff, and no doubt the Ford's going to be pretty quick, and the Corvette too. So we'll see what happens. I think it'll just be how it goes on the night. A few people have teammates, so I think they're going to play a factor as well. But we'll see what happens, and then we'll just try and get the best result we can.
Absolutely. Well, very well done again tonight, Adam. Fantastic evening for you. Anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before you go?
Obviously, you guys for the stream, SRM for putting on a really good championship. Obviously, can't thank Jonathan Walker from 3M and enough to let me run his car, and Altitude Esports and all the sponsors.
Lovely stuff. Well, great to speak to you as always, Adam. Well done again. Enjoy the moment, and we will see you next time round for Silverstone. Have a good one.
Thank you.
And there we go, a very calm Adam Watson after that one. I'd be screaming, jumping and shouting, but to be fair, Ed, he's more used to being up at the sharp end than I am, so, when it's less of a regular occurrence, I can't get my words out tonight, then it's clear to see, but, Adam's confidence definitely there, and it showed through tonight, didn't it, with that pace? That was incredible. Ed's speechless. He's absolutely speechless.
I was having a cheeky drink in the interim while you were chatting to Adam Watson. But yeah, it was a very calm Adam Watson, wasn't it, that was able to just digest everything that's gone on over the course of the evening. Obviously, great to see he's still got that form and is a real driver to watch for in the championship coming into the final 2 rounds at Silverstone.
Yeah, absolutely. And they will be here before you know it, everybody. Just a week's time now until the season finale of the Sim Racing Magazine GT3 Winter Tour by Derbyshire Holiday Homes here on Chaz Draycott Media. We will catch you then and hope you've enjoyed the show this evening. But Adam Watson once again shows utter dominance here at Donington Park in a fantastic display, and the championship gets its own little shake-up with just one meeting to go. Have a great evening, everybody. We'll see you soon.
And look at Jochen Hahn and Antonio Albacete. The two of them go flying through the right-hand side, then the left-hand side. Jochen Hahn around the outside, and Lucas Hahn, no father and son, come together on the exit of turn 1.
And the best thing about this is the fact that it's still a 15-minute sprint race. They've not extended the time of the race. It's still just like, it's going to be, 7 laps of Spa-Francorchamps?
Yeah. We get to the real nitty-gritty of motorsport. Cranstone and Smith are side by side for the title in the very final race of the season. As they go back up the hill towards the Schumacher S. Nils Core clips the back at 10. Simon Povey clips the side of Nils Core. They go over the hill and Povey's around.
Oh my God, that's going to definitely be the thumbnail when it hit me in the right direction.
Thank you so much.
23 cars.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.